Welcome along, and we continue the army analysis series with the fourth new army from the brand new DLC. I've covered some other armies from Medieval. I think I'm on around 10 videos now, but this is the fourth one from the brand new DLC, and it is the Ghaznavid 962 AD list, which looks to me quite interesting. I'm always looking for armies that are a little bit different. You know, a lot of armies are fairly generic, samey. You know, a lot of spear, knights, skirmishes. Yeah, your kind of typical kind of army. So some of these new armies, I think they give us a bit of oomph, really, something different. This is what we need in the game, especially in Medieval. Thinking in Ancients, you've got a lot more variety, and you know, lots of different kinds of units, especially in Classical era. You know, the Romans, the pikes, the hoplites, the elephants, swordsmen, and it goes on and on. Where we're up until fairly recently, Medieval was just dominated by spear, and warband. So it's nice to diversify a little bit. And with this army, when I was looking through the list, I had an idea. I thought, what I want, because a lot of these new Middle Eastern kind of armies, Asian armies, they have a fair bit of cavalry, but then the infantry is just very average or below average. Just quite a few lists, it's just spearmen, and you might get 2 armored defensive spear. I thought, well, you know, can I get dismounted knights? I haven't found, and I'll probably find one, but you know, an army with better than average infantry, dismounted knights, or something like that. So with this army, what you do have, we're playing at 1200 points because that's what we play in the league for High Middle Ages. You've got the wonderful Dilami, and you've got 2 of the veteran and 2 of the standard, and I just covered them yesterday. You can have a look at the video. I go through their attributes with the Dilami army, but suffice to say, these are great units because the veteran are absolutely excellent, superior quality. So against your average defensive spear and even armored defensive spear on impact, because as I say, armor doesn't count on impact. So they're 150 POA up on defensive spear on impact, so they can often disrupt on impact. And even your standard Dilami foot, they're 100 POA up. They're on 200 POA, and your defensive spear on 100 with the spear. So they can do a great job. They can really, you've got a real chance. I always say it seems to me to be about a 1 in 3, 1 in 4 chance of disrupting. So, you know, if you've got 4 impact troops together, it's highly likely that you're going to disrupt one of the enemy units if you go in at the same time. And then, you know, you can set off a chain reaction. Perhaps you can get a drop to fragmentation, and then you know, away you go. So these units are really useful. They're also useful because they're medium foot, and so, you know, rough ground, they can basically fight an advantage on rough ground against heavy foot, and actually against almost all medium foot. There's hardly any medium foot that are going to beat the veterans or the standard Dilami. So I think one of the things about this army is you have 4 of these impact foot troops, which, yes, you might think that's not so many, but when, you know, I've only got 10 infantry units here, I've just got your standard spear, some irregular foot, and raw spear. But if you've been following my videos in the new DLC, a lot of these armies, they don't have a lot of infantry. Crusaders around 13, 10. It seems to me with the new armies, it's around 10 to 13. That's what I was using anyway. You don't get a lot of options with infantry. Georgians were on 10. And the Crusaders, yeah, they were around 13. If you look, I think have I maxed? Yeah, I've maxed out. So that 10 is actually the max I can take for infantry. So, and it's a fairly similar for quite a few armies. So that means that you do want, ideally, you want a bit of quality in your infantry just to keep you in the game, and they provide that. But I think the real plus, there's a few pluses. 19 cavalry. I've got 19 cavalry, and some of these light cav units are excellent. The light horse. You've got bow. Only 32. And then the Bedu light horse are archers. Are lancers. Lancers are fantastic value for money, and at 28, I mean, that is just superb with the POA advantage at such a price. They're excellent, and then you've got tons of a mounted bow, which is going to do a great job against cav, and just with the number of them, you've also got the superior quality version. The armored superior quality. I mean, this is an army that can do a lot of damage. Plus, as you can see, what I have, which most armies do not have, are elephants, which are fantastic on impact and fantastic in general. I mean, even if they don't disrupt on impact, they can often just hold a unit in place. So, if you hunt out some of the better units on the enemy line, even if you don't disrupt, it's likely that they're just going to be stuck fighting the elephant for a long time. So very useful units. Also good against cavalry, because they can disorder cav. So they're really good units. Usually, I've said before in Ancients, I usually only take one, but maybe with this list, I would consider taking 2 elephants. I'm going to talk about this at the end, actually, some maybe flexibility in the list and some units you might want to swap out or swap around. But when you've only got 10 infantry units, these can kind of just add to your line, because they're going to be good against most infantry. So when you've only got 10 infantry units, it is probably worthwhile taking out an extra elephant. Okay, you've got hardly any skirmishes. I mean, if you really wanted, if it was tons of rough ground, you could maybe take out an elephant and add 2 skirmishes. Is that worth it? Probably not, to be honest with you. Skirmishes really work better when you have 4, 5, 6 of them. Then they can disrupt units in possibly one turn if you mass your skirmisher fire. When you've only got 2, probably not worth it. When you've already got so much cavalry, a fair bit of it is light, you can almost use this as your kind of mobile, what I would call your mobile skirmishers. These light troops, they can just scare away skirmishers, charge into them. You've got a fair bit of the light horse, so they can do it. the job of a lot of the foot skirmishes. Say you wanted maybe a little bit more missile fire. You do have the massed archers, so perhaps I could take out 2 of these Turkoman Cav mounted bow, and I could add 2 mass archers, and that might be good. I mean, that my initial build with the 19 Cav is what I would call, and the 2 elephants is kind of the aggressive build. If you really wanted to go at the enemy, I'd take what I had at the start. You've got your elephants at impact. You've got 4 impact infantry troops. You've got 19 Cav. You're going to have Cav advantage. It's easy to be aggressive when you've got the Cav advantage. When you don't have the Cav advantage, you're always a little bit worried about protecting your flanks. The impact means the enemy's going to be a little bit worried. I mean, essentially, you've got 6 units there, including the 2 elephants. You've got 6 impact troops that are going to cause problems. So that's a plus. But if there was more rough grounds, maybe you're not going to be able to flank so easily. If there was tons of rough ground all over, and maybe if the enemy had a lot of horse archers or bowmen, maybe you just want more archers yourself, so you can do that. These Indian archers are massed bowmen as well, so there's a bit of flexibility there. You've got up to 5 of these kind of units you can take, and because you don't have really hardly any foot skirmishers, that's quite nice. My rating, about, it's tough, isn't it? No, I'm going to go A-. I am going to go A- because I think when you factor in all of this impact troops here, the amount of cavalry you can bring, pretty decent cav. You've got your lancers, the cheaper end lancers, which are great value for money. You've got superior quality bow and your standard bow. It just means it's a pretty efficient, fearsome looking army. I mean, okay, I've got 2 raw spear, I've got 2 irregular foot, but a lot of armies, especially the new armies, similar. This is the kind of infantry they have. So actually, you're going to have better infantry than quite a lot of the newer armies, because they don't have all of this impact foot. They might well have some armored spear. If I look back, the Georgian list had 1 of the veteran Dailami, and then it was just all defensive spear. Crusaders, okay, they had a guard unit, but then it was all armed defensive spear. So you're going to be able to, especially on impact, cause some problems. Byzantine as well, they just had in my setup anyway, they had 1 guard unit and then a lot of the mixed bow and defensive spear. So yeah, it is the roll of the dice, but there's a lot of damage you can do, potential damage, with these 2 elephants and these impact troops. Could turn the battle. If you fail an impact, you get really bad rolls, maybe you'll be struggling. But if you disrupt 2 or 3 enemy units, it could be the beginning of good things for this army. So I think about an A-. It would be nice to have more skirmishes. You don't have any knights, although I'm beginning to think that, seems to me anyway, that knights in a way are becoming more and more redundant in this game. It's just because when you've got so many armies with a lot of bow, knights are going to be struggling. They're not really maneuverable. If they get surrounded by these kind of units, it's not going to be easy for them. And they cost so much. 72. That's a lot of points. And these units are only the Turkoman standard bow 36. That's 2 for 1. So let's see how they do. Okay, that's about it. So let us know what you think. Let us know if you are playing with this army in the league, and let us know if you're playing against it. I might have missed something out. Although saying that, there's not so many options really, not different ways. So, I suppose you could take me. I haven't talked about the armored Muslim lancers. Maybe you'd want less of light cav, and maybe you want to take some of these. Maybe you don't want the elephants. Maybe you think the lancers would be better. So let us know. Okay, see you again soon.